this video, I'm going to be talking about the printing press. What's up guys, Flow Society are back with another video. Now you may be asking, why am I making a video about the printing press? Well, recently I had a conversation with someone in the Discord, and from this conversation about various topics and regarding the market and the economy, it ended with me leaving a few words of wisdom, or breadcrumbs if you will. And it was the printing press. And you may be asking, what is so important about the printing press? Well, everything that we see happening right now has already happened before. As the saying goes, history might not repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. And right now we are playing to the tune of the printing press. To give a little backstory to the printing press. The printing press was invented in Germany or the Netherlands in around the mid-1400s. Now, the significance of the printing press was the decentralization of information. A reflection of this decentralization is Bitcoin. That's actually why I have Bitcoin up. Cryptocurrency is a reflection of that decentralization. But what are the consequences of decentralization of information? 100 years after the printing press came into existence, you had the Protestant Reformation. The Protestant Reformation came about due to the decentralization of the Word of God, the Bible. Now, before the printing press, there was one guy in one town who would translate Latin, the ancient language at the time, and still is an ancient language, and then translate it into the local language. Now, of course, if only one person is translating the information, the wisdom that most towns, cities, countries, empires were built on at that time, there is room for that one individual to say anything that they really want to, which I'm sure many of you will be able to see a reflection of that in today's day and age. Now, of course, at that time, not many people were literate, but the few people who were, they could then read the Bible. So now, instead of having one orator of wisdom, you could have 2, 3, potentially even 4 people influencing hundreds of other people. And these few people then could teach other people within this group how to interpret that wisdom. And with so many people being able to interpret the wisdom, the Bible of society, the stories that held people together, the traditions that held people together, you would then start to see individuals break off from the norm. Of course, we call these the Protestants, the decentralization of values. And many people were conflicted between these various interpretations. Now, simultaneously, the church would also use the authority of religion and the authority of God to be able to control the local population. Now, this is nothing new. This has been done in various ways, but religion is a significant portion of this control. And with this decentralization of information, decentralization of interpretation, you then started to gain a decentralization of thought, of ideas, of actions, of consequences. Now, at this time, as I said, the church, but also the various people that the church would give authority to, and those people in authority would use the church themselves, they had control of this information. They could use it and wield it in any way that they saw fit. They were the shepherds and the people were the sheep. Now, as these movements grew, you also had movements in action at large scale. And large-scale movements in action lead to consequences, lead to conflict, lead to disagreements. And these disagreements lead to physical action, war. When spiritual unity is divided on a metaphysical level, there comes a fracture in the highest authorities. And from one authority comes 2 authorities, and 2 authorities comes 4 authorities, and 4 authorities comes 8 authorities. And with so many authorities, there's so many different ways that people can act and behave. Unpredictable. And if people become unpredictable, then they are hard to lead. And this usually leads to war, because that's what people in positions of authority and power do. They themselves create chaos. They themselves create confusion in order to at least control that chaos and confusion. And that's what happened after the printing press. I could sit here and give you a long explanation of the geopolitics from the 1500s, the 1400s even, all the way up until now. But this video would be 500 years old. I will let you do that research yourself. My point being is the consequences of the printing press led to the Protestant Reformation. The Protestant Reformation led to conflict at large scale for varying reasons. And those consequences and those conflicts led to other consequences and conflicts. And technology itself is bred inside that conflict, most likely leading to the internet itself. I now want to delve into the similarities between the printing press and the internet. The internet itself is a decentralization of information. It's a decentralization of technology even. There are greater layers to a degree in the internet than there is in the printing press. It is my opinion though, and this is just an opinion, that I do think on an exponential landscape, the printing press was in ways more revolutionary than the internet. But then again, we are only 5 decades into the internet, so that judgment is harsh to begin with. But as of right now, and we still have many things that the internet will play out over a period of time. But to just highlight some examples, education, college. College has increased in price, but the information provided on the internet is pretty much the same. The only thing that college now offers is the prestige, the authority of a piece of paper. When you look at cases like P. Diddy or Jeffrey Epstein, the way that people viewed power and authority, the way people viewed celebrity has changed, has been torn down even. The way that people view politicians, the way that people view thought leaders, the way that people view artists, musicians, the way that people view the financial structure. I mean, there's a reason I have Bitcoin up in the background to begin with. And all of this creates new ways of thinking and new ways of actions, new problems that arise, new consequences that people must deal with and fight through. And in many cases on a physical level. I mean, if we talk about the war in Ukraine, the conflict that Israel is dealing with, are these wars the direct action of individuals in those places? Or are those people and those individuals possessed by new ideas and new actions? And the people who control those areas, the people who fund those areas, the people who invest in those areas, do they benefit from those new thoughts and ideas and those actions? And is the conflict created within those areas random? Is it pure chaos or is it controlled chaos? There are many things that I could delve into here, many theories and many different lines of thinking. And I'm sure that you, the audience, I hold up to you the capability of thinking on your own. So I will not necessarily go into those things or delve into those things, but you get the idea. To bring this back around to the conversation I was having in the Discord with that individual, who I hope is watching this video, who suggested I make this video to begin with, the reason the printing press is so important is not even necessarily what we, the people, decide to do with that decentralization of information, but it is the people who have controlled the flow of information before that decentralization decide to do after that decentralization. How much do they love their control, their power, their authority within this world? How much do they truly want to lead the sheep into slaughter or into the grassy green fields? Look, I'm not saying anything new here, and in my opinion, it's pretty obvious. But it is also my opinion that many people are not aware. They don't think in this manner. They don't think this far back, which is not only a detriment to us today, not only does it disrespect our ancestors and their capabilities, but it also impacts the future, ourselves, the people who will experience that future, and the people that we create to experience the future. So when you think of the internet, do you think of a computer? Do you think of a phone? Do you think of connection? Do you think of a cell tower? Or do you think of a printing press? Do you think of a book? Do you think of written words? Do you think of the church? Do you think of a nail and hammer? Do you think of a door? Not many people think like this. Is Bitcoin truly new? I'm just simply proposing you these questions. I cannot give you the answers to these questions. I mean, many people will and could, and I could be one of those people, but I'm not going to. Because you yourself, your brain, your consciousness, and your subconsciousness, you must be able to understand this in your own way. Take time for yourself, not only for your own mind, obviously, but take time for existential ideas such as this. Take time for history. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. And if history rhymes, that means it's sound, it's music. What I would suggest for people to do is listen to the beautiful sound of history, the rhythm that it produces, and try to see how that rhythm cascades into the various actions of people's lives you yourself included, but the people around you, the people that you may not even know. And look, I'm not saying that all the sound is true or that it sounds good, but what I am saying is that it is sound nonetheless, and your ears can pick up on it. It just depends on which sound you choose to tune into. If you've never thought of the internet and the printing press like this, or just in general the actions that are occurring today, they are not new. You yourself, on a genetic level, have seen this before. You are inside of something, experiencing something that has already taken place. But for now, I'll leave you guys with that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I provided you some information. I hope that I got you to think a little bit. I hope that I asked you the right questions. I hope you actually seek out those answers. And without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.